yourself out of it, what would you say, one, to someone else who's currently going through it, maybe in high school, they don't know what to do?
Yeah.
And what would you say to the mothers who have daughters who are going through that? Yeah.
Ooh, for me, it was such a roller coaster. The first, because I've had endo for almost 20 years, probably 20 now. The first half were really bad. Depression is very, very real. Which is why I work so hard now not to go back to that place, because I know what it can do to a person. It really was a personal choice. I remember that just one day I was sitting, I think I'd had my first or second operation. And I was sitting and thinking, like, okay, who else is in this position? Like, how are they doing it? Because when you're going through it, you think you're the only one. And I wrote a little counter book. Okay, I want to do this. I want to start an organization that does this, it does this, it does this, it does this.
How old were you at this time?
I was 20, early 20s though, because I've been doing advocacy for 10 years now. Started in 2014. But I kind of had like that come to Jesus moment where I was like, you know what, enough is enough.
Hi everyone, how are you? Welcome to Moments with Nyengeterai. It's so good to have you back again after a fruitful week. So I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for being a part of this community. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for sharing. But over and above that, thank you for sending messages. You know, it's just so exciting to get these messages, because then it shows that people are watching and people are sharing, and all the ideas and all the guests that you're asking for. We are going to do our best to make sure that we bring them. But some of you are watching, but you're not subscribing. So please be a part of this community and just subscribe. Thank you so much. And today I have a very exciting guest. So we've been talking back and forth, I think since last year.
Yeah.
And well, finally today it's happening. Yes. So Tine, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. Finally,
imagine
God's
it.
time.
Yeah, you see,
God's
everything happens in God's time.
Yeah.
So we make our plans, but God knows when it's time.
Exactly.
You know. So Tine, I think some people know you, but some people might not know you. So just introduce yourself. Tell us who you are. Any exciting things?
Well, so you're the one who said I'm exciting, so I will want to know what's exciting. But I am a woman in progress. I always say that. But some of my accessories that I put on, or hats that I put on, is life coach, author, wellness practitioner. I am an activist, women's health activist, philanthropist, and still a human being despite having, all those responsibilities and wearing all those hats.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what's so exciting for me? I need to go back to when you were young.
Yes.
Because I look at you and you're so young. I think you're even old enough to be my daughter. Maybe.
Okay. I'll take that one.
I'm looking and I'm like, you're so young, but and you're doing so much. Mm-hmm. So let's go back to your childhood.
Yeah.
What do you believe is one of your childhood memories that you remember that probably made you want to do all these things, or maybe how you grew up?
Ooh, okay. Wow. So I come from a blended family. Mm-hmm. Now it's very blended, but I really attribute everything that I'm doing to not a so great childhood. At the age of 10, my parents split up, and then, I always explain this to people that, parents are like pillars, There's dad on one side, mom on the one side, and then you're kind of in the middle. Mm-hmm. And then you wake up and all of that is gone. Mm-hmm. And I literally became a mother in like seconds, And I think a lot of what I went through sort of got cultivated into this like mother hen thing that I sort of, I guess, nurtured and nursed over the years. And I just love to take care of people and things, because I was once in a situation where you need the nurturing and the love, but it's not there. So it's definitely one of the things I talk about even in my books, that I think that would be my first heartbreak ever in life. And then, it's cultivates a spirit of resilience. And that's where everything started for me. Yeah.
How old were you?
I was 10, I think, 9 or 10.
Wow.
Yeah, 9 or 10.
And then from then on, like going into your teens, how did it affect your, your teenage years? You know how your teen years, some people become rebellious, some people, but that change at home, how did that affect you going into your teenage years?
Okay, so I actually lived with my dad, which is very weird, because most times kids go to their mom. So my brother and I lived with our dad, and that was okay. And then in my teenage years, something else happened. I did not have a diagnosis then, but I then started having health issues. From a girl that was quite vibrant, I think that's my natural kind of thing. I'm very vibrant, have a lot of energy. But then being unwell and in high school and at a girls' school was just it was hard. So it made me very isolated, very quiet. I just kind of stuck to myself. I did have friends, but I was not that girl that would voice out a lot. I buried myself into books because I was good at that. I was very good at that. And so I thought, at least I'm good at this. I couldn't play sport because of my health issues. I couldn't really relate to the other girls because I'm sick half of the time. And so I did my books. I did well in school. And that's how my high school life was. Just about books. When I got home, I'd close myself up and do books until I was done with high school. And I could not wait to leave high school. I could not.
Really?
Whereas everyone else was crying, oh my gosh, I'm leaving my friends. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm leaving this place with these people. It's done. But little do you know that life has layers and you're about to go to the next level of what life has ahead of you,
Do you want to talk about your health issues?
Yeah. So I have a condition called endometriosis. It is a condition that affects 1 in 10 women. And basically what happens if you have very severe period pain, you have severe bleeding. So whereas what is normal, a normal period, which is being able to get on with normal activity, life, you'll have an ache and a pain here, and a Panadol would do the trick, a Brufen would do the trick. For me, I was going through boxes, spoiling. Yes, I was at a girls' school, but still, you're spoiling. I'd leave home in the morning thinking I'm going to have an ordinary day. And then all of a sudden I'm bleeding. I'm at the sick bay. And then, my dad has to be called. You have to come and get Tine. And then something very interesting about the disease is it's not, back then I would say it was not very common. Or there wasn't a lot of awareness. So you're in and out of doctors' rooms and they're like, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you, You are pretending. And so even I started to think maybe there's something wrong with me, and because you're visibly ill, but then you're having scans done and they're normal and they're saying your uterus looks normal. Anyway, some years later, maybe 5 or 6 years later, in my early 20s, I then got diagnosed with endometriosis.
After high school?
After high school.
What kind of pain were you feeling? Because I'm sure there are a multitude of girls that they probably have bad period pains. And they just say it's bad period pains. And I think I'll tell you, for instance, being an African, growing up with an African mom. Okay, I'm an African mom as well. Yeah. But every time, even when you're in your periods, if you're told, hey, wake up, go and do some work. You're not pregnant. Yeah. They used to behaving like a pregnant woman. I don't know what that meant then. Yeah. So I kept laughing about it because what kind of pain is it? Because probably there's some people out there just...
It is excruciating pain. Funny enough, today, for the first time almost ever, I saw a really good visual representation of what endo looks like. And so you are having pain where you can't walk, where you can't sleep, where you are bleeding, you're clotting, very big clots are coming out. I remember the first time it happened to me, I was like, what is this? You know, like, how is this huge thing coming out of me? The pain is just excruciating. You can't do anything. I think in Shona, they say Jeko Rechirume. Well, in Shona, we call it Jeko. But it's actually not Jeko. Jeko is a symptom. So period pain is a symptom of endometriosis. We then have other symptoms like your leg pain, your back pain, your vomiting, your nausea, infertility, you know, that I realized later on in life. But it is just a very painful disease. And something else about the disease is that it does not only like stay in the uterine cavity, it can grow onto other parts of your body. So your ovaries, your liver, your lungs, your brain, your teeth. It is a very, very weird and I call it evil disease. Sort of has characteristics like that of cancer. Yeah. And so very, very hard to diagnose. It takes about 7 to 10 years on average. So imagine girls are going through this pain. And yeah, in our African homes, she's lazy. She is maybe trying to get out of going to school, you know.
Or maybe
doing chores, you know. And if you're going on for 4 to 5 days, I mean, that's 4 to 5 days of being in bed. But you are basically incapacitated. Walking, going to the bathroom can be absolutely impossible. Very, very painful disease.
So how did they know it's endo? I mean, what tests did they run so they know that it's endo? I can't even say the full name.
Endometriosis, but yeah, we call it endo. It's a tongue twister. So I went to several doctors in Harare. Several. The same thing kept coming up. Normal. And then I have an uncle of mine. He is based in the UK. And he had a friend who had endo, but she was in South Africa. So as she, I think, was speaking to him about, you know, what she was going through, he was like, oh, I've heard this before happening with my niece. So he then said to me, I think you should take a trip to South Africa, go meet this lady. So that's what I did. I went, I met her. You know, when you meet someone and you're like, oh my gosh, they get me, they understand me. She was a lot older than me, but she was like, and this happens to you. And I'm like, yes, it does. This happens to you. She's like, okay, I think you might have endo. So we went to a doctor. I kid you not, 5 to 10 minutes in that consultation, he's like, okay, you have endometriosis. Unfortunately, it's stage 4. It also has stages. So stage 4 is like aggressive disease. It's spread. And what I really hate that doctors do is, so you get a diagnosis and then they're giving you all this information. Okay, you can
go and
A,
read.
B, C, D. No, you have to make a choice. You know what I mean? Because he wants to go and see another patient. So he says, okay, we're going to put you on this medication. And so I just said, okay, at the time, I had not started the advocacy that I do now. I just said, okay, big mistake. It was basically hormones again, male hormones. Yeah. So I was feeling very weird. My body was aching.
Why did they give you male hormones?
Because with endo, it is a surge of estrogen. It is extra estrogen.
Oh.
And so they try to normalize it by then giving you some testosterone. But you know how it is. The body does what it wants to do when it wants to do it. And so that also was a whole journey of countless treatments, so many, operation after operation. And you learn as you go. So
that affected your relationships or friendships, or because I can just imagine that, and it's so hard to explain. I guess when people are not, and you know how it is with life, where if you're not going through something, sometimes you'll be like, I don't know you. How has that affected your friendships, your relationship, your love, anything? Like how? Even your family.
My family, to be very honest, initially it was very, very hard. I would say it really created quite a very big rift in our family life. At this point, now I was living with my mom because, I mean, she was the only one who could really fight for me, you know. And I think mothers kind of are like, okay, she's not pretending. She is not pretending, but now what is it? So we have our diagnosis now, but remember, I've been that isolated girl in high school. I actually told my father I was not going to attend physical university, so I didn't. I did online schooling, which worked out so well for me because I had a very mature group of colleagues and classmates. Some people who are still my friends now, I've never met them, but, we would speak on WhatsApp and they would help me so much. There were times where I'd be in hospital and I've missed a class, and they were really, really great. And so that's how I did both of my degrees, basically at home and in bed, a lot of it in bed, and I just go write exams. And so for the most part, I think for a lot of my 20s, I was a loner. The relationship that I had at the time was with my boyfriend, and that was literally just, okay, the safe space. And you're like, okay, he kind of understands, at least that's my friend. Because you go out or you want to go out and you have a hot water bottle. People are like, oh my gosh, it's summer. Why do you have a hot water bottle? You go to a family function. It's the same thing. And then people just start to gossip. And I just had such a traumatic experience in high school that I was like, I'm not doing this again. And then as I grew older and as I started to kind of grow into my own person, I started to have a very I don't care attitude. So either you're my friend or you're not. This is what comes with me. If you're working with me also, you have to know, okay, look, I'm working with Tine and, we can be sitting like this. Then in the next 20 minutes, I'm like, oh my gosh, my back. Guys, I need hot water. So it's kind of like educating the people around you. Okay, guys, this is what I have, but I'm still capable. And I think that was also a very personal thing for me. I had to learn that I was capable first. And then I was able to convince everyone else that, okay, look, guys, like I may not be able to show up every day, but I can do what I'm supposed to do. And so, yeah, my relationships were affected a lot. I did have, some good friends, but what will happen is they'll speak to you over the phone, but they may not always invite you to things. And then you get upset because you haven't been invited. But they're also feeling like, oh, she's not going to come anyway. So I think with age also now and being a lot more mature, I realize that it's not only affecting you, it's affecting the people around you. You think it's just affecting you because, you're the one who's physically in pain. But the people around you are seeing you go through this. So they're getting affected as well. And again, endo has no cure. So there's only just so much people can do to help you. And I think it can really affect relationships, love life. I mean, which African man is going to be okay with the fact that, okay, yes, I've met this woman, but maybe when I take her to my mom, she's not going to be able to do chores. She may not be able to give me a baby. Like I said, it affects infertility. About 50% of women with endo have infertility. So that's a big one, especially for African people. Work-wise, which boss is going to be okay with the fact that at any moment in time you have to leave.
Get up and go. Or
you are away for 2-3 months. Financially, as what's very expensive disease, you're on medical aid, you're exhausted very quickly. So it affects literally every aspect of your life, your education, your dreams, I know so many women who had these big dreams. You want to be a doctor, you need to be on your feet. So having endo is not very ideal. Maybe you want to be a chef, you need to be on your feet. It's not very ideal. So, yeah.
So I was saying that with all that was going on, and I'm just thinking relationships, everything, how have you managed to be Tine who does all this, the resilience? Yeah. I mean, I can imagine emotionally, how did you get, because I'm sure it must have affected you emotionally sometimes. Yeah. How did you get yourself out of it? What would you say, one, to someone else who's currently going through it, maybe in high school, they don't know what to do? Yeah. And what would you say to the mothers who have daughters who are going through that? Yeah.
Ooh, for me, it was such a roller coaster. The first, because I've had endo for almost 20 years, probably 20 now. The first half were really bad. Depression is very, very real. Which is why I work so hard now not to go back to that place, because I know what it can do to a person. It really was a personal choice. I remember that just one day I was sitting, I think I had my first or second operation, and I was sitting and thinking, like, okay, who else is in this position? Like, how are they doing it? Because when you're going through it, you think you're the only one. And I wrote a little counter book. Okay, I want to do this. I want to start an organization that does this and does this and does this and does this.
How old were you at this time?
I was 20, early 20s though, because I've been doing advocacy for 10 years now. Started in 2014. But I kind of had like that come to Jesus moment where I was like, you know what, enough is enough. Okay, I have to get out of bed. Literally, that's what happened. I have to get out of bed. But how am I going to be able to do it? Because at the time, I was still not very sure of how the disease is. It really was like running my life. So I'm thinking, okay, I want to start this NGO. I want to do this. I had actually applied to do law. And I'm like, how am I going to be a lawyer? Okay, that's not going to work. What else would I want to do? Again, like I said, I love helping people. So I applied for community and health psychology. But now I'm thinking, how am I going to do it? So I started like little by little going into communities, doing women's health education. That's how I initially started. And it gave me something to like do and have some sort of purpose. Get up. I'll be in pain, but I'm thinking, okay, no, but you know, I said I was going to do this. So I did it. And it started to gain some traction. It also got a little bit of bad press because, I mean, at the time, that's 2014, this girl was talking about periods and blood and pain and doctors doing the wrong thing. But you know, when you've been through so much, you really don't care. I was just like, I don't care. I don't care. I've already lost a lot. And so I just started talking and going into communities. Those who would have me, I would go there and say, guys, there's this thing called endo. There's fibroids, not just endo, but just women's health in general. PCOS, painful periods. What does it mean? Okay, what's normal? What's not normal? And so that's how I started to kind of get out of my dark place, dark hole. And then I started the Zimbabwe Endometriosis Support Network. At the time, we were only like 3 women, I think. Myself, another lady, and then a lady from South Africa, you know. She actually passed on a few years ago. We were very, very close. And we would just chat, you know. How are you? What are you doing? What painkillers are you using? And then as the years have gone by, our support group is big now, more than 200 women now.
Wow.
Right? And every day it's women also sending messages. Look, I saw this. I saw you in hospital. I am just very open about it. So that really gave me a purpose. And I'm like, okay, so God, maybe this is why I caught the disease, you know. I started, you know, winning awards, being invited to fellowships. And I was like, okay, so this actually matters. And then to the mothers, first of all, your journey is not your daughter's. Mothers really love to say, when I was and my period, yes, they told period pain. Okay, and it's also hereditary, right? So some of our mothers actually had endo and fibroids, etc. But a lot of them got married early and had children early. Our generation now, we are all about smashing goals. We're on all these things. Our diet is different. We take contraception. And so apparently, according to some research, this is why a lot of us are having more of, you know, the endos and the fibroids and the PCOS, and even infertility issues. You look at even our grandmothers, they had 10 children. So even 11, 12, you know. And so there was no room for endo to grow because they were always pregnant.
And they were always pregnant. I was saying that to my mother-in-law, she has 11 kids. I was like, half your adult life you were pregnant.
And then one day she wakes up, boom, menopause. And then, you know, story's over. Whereas so many of us are like, oh, we want to have PhDs. And so the disease just grows and grows and grows and grows. Like I was saying, it's hormonal. So we're giving the estrogen, time to grow. And because we are not aware of it, a lot of women actually think the pain is normal. Or some girls, they're like, I just have this back pain, or I've had it for years. No, you might have endo. And so what happens, unfortunately, is many of us are now rushing to the doctor when we get married. We're trying to have that baby. And then it doesn't happen, And then another one, and people don't like it, but I will try to touch on it very gently, is the religious point of view. So a lot of girls are going to their mothers and saying, I'm not well. And so they're trying to cast out demons when you're sick. You need to see a gynae. How many women or mothers actually sit down with their daughters about period pain? Not many, because they also don't know.
Exactly.
And because also our grandmothers don't know. And so, some of the workshops that I've done is I try to get mothers to tell their children period stories, and they refuse. No, ashite. And I'm like, this is the problem that we have, You then find out some mothers, imagine, have endo, and their daughters don't even know. I mean, for me, that would be the first thing, that if you have endo, there's a high chance that your daughter will. And so you have a very, very good chance of getting her treatment before, it's too late. Before it's stage 4, before, she's infertile. So I think just opening up that conversation is very important, and realizing that your daughter's journey is hers. Allowing girls to also make their own decisions. Even you can be 30, 40 and still your mom is like, no, don't do that. Don't have an operation because A, B, C, D. These are very real things I come across every day. And family, what our families think is very important. It really is. And so I find that a lot of women don't make decisions because the mom is like, no. Yeah. So, religious backgrounds, our awareness, speaking up about it, sharing those stories, and just listening, understanding. I don't think there's anyone, especially an adult, who's trying to chase their dreams is just going to enjoy being at home and being in bed. I don't think so. We actually all want to feel great, but we are in this position where we just have to make it work. And we would definitely not choose it, but this is what's there.
Yeah. And so for me, I'm thinking, not like what you're saying, so you think about the religious, we talk about want to cast out demons and all that. I also say, this person is sick. When you were going out there into the community and talking to them, I know, African culture, talking about period, blood. And I'm not even just saying Kunok, even the people who've gone overseas, who struggle. I mean, that reception, how did you get over, I know, like, trying to talk to people about period, sex, it's like, no. It's not things that don't happen.
This little girl, I definitely had issues with the older community. I won't even say which religious people, but I think we'll guess. I remember one time I went to a certain place, and we also do pad handouts, right? Because you'll find that someone with endo or fibroids or cysts or whatever, we bleed more than the average woman. So, okay, already we have period poverty. Then you need extra pads. Something very interesting happened to me 2 months ago. I used a period panty. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my gosh.
Really?
Is this me? Yeah.
Wow.
Basically a diaper. I couldn't believe it.
So isn't it like fat?
It's huge. And I couldn't believe it. And so I got them. And my thing was like, okay, you know what? I don't think I'm going to need them. But I have a very heavy flow. And it's such a game changer, but it's so unflattering, And I kind of felt sad that day. I'm like, is this her life? I'm using diapers? Like, what? But ordinarily for someone who have issues, you're double padding. So we try to help the community, especially the vulnerable communities. I went to a certain place, and just as we're about to hand out the pads, they refused. The religious group. No, who are you? I just my heart broke, and I was like, we have a problem. we have a very serious problem now. If culture and tradition and patriarchal norms, these are men making decisions for women and young girls, and the mothers are just quiet. They're not decision makers. And I'm thinking, okay, so the girl continues to use rags, right? You guys don't even understand the health implications of that. So what I've managed to do over the years is, you go into the community and you just take your time. You educate them as well. So we started not only to do workshops with the girls, just invite the moms. Let them sit through it. They understand. You ask them, oh, what do you think, Anna Mama? You give them the floor as well. There's some stuff that actually know, maybe like the herbal remedies. They'll tell you, can one dear? Ukatsenga ginger. There's some things that they actually know. You kind of make them feel like they're part of it, but also realizing that they're as clueless as the girls. That's how I kind of managed. Still a little bit hard because you're going into a foreign place and they're feeling like this is someone who's privileged, who's coming into this place and telling us what to do. But the reality of it, especially for vulnerable girls, is they don't even have the money to go and see Dr. So-and-so. And so the most that you can do is just make sure she's a bit comfortable during, that cycle. Clinics, the local clinics who also don't really have the know-how. When girls go, automatically it's, she's being promiscuous. Because all they know also about sex and bleeding is chirwer. Whereas it's like, guys, it could be a cyst, it could be a fibroid, it could be endo. But how do you explain to a 50-year-old nurse and you're like 20, 30? It's very hard, Even I think just language even can be a bit hard. I always try to explain endometriosis in Shona and oh my gosh, very, very
hard. Yeah, Shona's a bit raw.
It's a bit raw, But I guess it's about being consistent and them realizing that you are there to help. You're not there to exploit or expose, but you have to say this is a real issue. The thing about endo doesn't care who you are, doesn't care what your bank balance is. Pain is pain, and I feel so sorry for those girls when they're in pain and they don't have a hot water bottle and they can't rush to the ER and, it's tough for me. What about, someone who's in Hopley or in Ebert there? Yeah.
Does food help? Like, is there a certain food that when you eat, it helps or it can help people? Or?
So diet is quite big. So they say it's an inflammatory disease.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if you can try and curb your inflammation, you can make the pain reduce or decrease. Still also hard because some of the foods we don't even get here in Zim, so you then go on your gluten-free diet, which is expensive. No dairy, but then your body starts to also lack the vitamin D. So then you need supplements, herbs, something that I really wish we can do maybe in the coming years is to have an understanding with, your traditional healers, because there's so many plants and shrubs, but then how do you know which one is for endo? I once went on a show with a traditional healer and he was asked, is there a Shona name for endo? He said no. But we don't even understand what it's about, what's going on. And so, a very inflammation-free diet. I always say it's like, oh my gosh, you can't eat anything. No sugar.
So basically, what can you eat on a normal day?
No red meat, no gluten.
Red meat?
No red meats, yeah. No gluten, no dairy.
What do you eat?
Exactly.
You eat?
What do I eat?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I have to be very, very honest. I only recently started changing my diet a few months ago. I've done the endo diet on and off, but I get so frustrated that I'm like, you know what? I'm in pain already. Let me enjoy. So I eat whatever. But I do stay away from red meat. I do that. I hardly have dairy. And it was a hard one because I really like my yogurt. And also yogurt is very, very good because there's probiotics. Yeah. But then you can't. Your sugar, alcohol as well. They say stay away from it. But I remember speaking to a dietitian and they said, you know what, the idea is not to make you suffer. Just, cut down. You have your cheat day, and you prepare, okay, I'm definitely going to flare. I know one or two people who have gone cold turkey and they say they are doing amazing, but they don't live in Zimbabwe. They're in the UK.
Oh.
As far as even changing your skin products.
Wow.
To vegan friendly skin products. So it's apparently if you speak to your physicists and your environmental people, they'll tell you it's even in the air. They call them xenoestrogens. And I'm just like, okay, this is taking it too far. Using a microwave, certain water you shouldn't drink. So I was just like, you know what? No, this is too much drama. But I tried to have like okayish diet. I am a sweet lover, so I do know that's where my issue is. Stay away from sugar. But I have really tried stay away from the coffees, do my herbal things. And I think it's helping, stuff that's in your kitchen, turmeric, black pepper, cinnamon, tastes horrible, but you're not going to die, but just having a cup of that and just make it religious. It's quite and because it's hormone, it's like being on your period all the time. So you feel like having chocolate all the time. You really do. But diet is definitely a factor. Stress as well.
It affects.
Stress as well. Something I don't do is not that I've never fought with anyone, but I don't get into squabbles or confrontations with people because you flare immediately like this. So people always are like, are you this calm all the time? I'm like, I am. I really am.
You've had to teach yourself.
I've had to teach myself, whether it's in a workplace, whether it's in a relationship, that, you know what? Because I'm going to find myself in the emergency room. Really hard, but it's very, very important. Relationship-wise, get yourself a kind partner, an understanding partner, because being in a tumultuous, abusive relationship will definitely affect your nervous system and your health.
That's what affected yours?
Yes. I was actually married. I then got married to my long-term boyfriend, and life pressures, endo. I mean, look, there's two sides to a story, but for me, it became very, very hard. My health started to decline. I developed high blood pressure, and I'm just like, no, this is not it. Even external opinions and pressure came, especially because I was trying for a baby and it wasn't happening. Previously, before I got married, I always used to get asked, like, what about babies and infertility? And I hadn't thought about it, to be honest. I actually didn't know it was that deep. Like, I just thought, I've accomplished so many things. This is someone who you've met before the disease, so they know. But I think it's harder also to now live with someone who's got endo. So it became very, very different. And it was something that was now starting to really kill me slowly. So I was like, okay, had to make a very hard decision. And then you get out into the big world, and then you realize people are not as kind as you think as well. It's all about babies. I don't know why. Like,
that's what I was about to say, that it's all about babies. And how has it made you feel? Like,
Oh, I definitely I spiraled. I spiraled like a year. I went through a very, very bad time because all of a sudden I became very indispensable, I guess. So you've gone through that. It's very traumatic. And one thing that I then learned, and even with speaking to the women in our group, is that you become very vulnerable. You are then subjected to a lot of nonsense because your partner feels like, where's she going to go anyway? Abuse comes into play. And you don't realize it until maybe it's a bit too late, because you start actually believing that, okay, look, I'm infertile, so at least, I say to people, I always say, at least he loves me like this.
And then when it starts to almost kill you, you have to make a very tough decision.
And I'll say I was very shocked because then I'd been with him through like my basically from 19 till 32.
Wow.
So I hadn't dated.
Yeah.
Then I got into the streets of Harare and I was like, oh, okay. It's not as easy as but and that broke me even further because now I'm really in trouble. Okay, I'm a divorcee at 32. And like these men just keep asking, like, can you have children? You what? Like, you're not even asking about my education, like my dreams, my what. It was very surprising for me. And then you speak to other women about it and they're like, yeah, welcome, welcome. Then you start to look at the other options that are there, your surrogacy, your adoption. You even, at some point I was even like, okay, maybe I'm just going to get a donor sperm and have my child by myself. It's quite a very lonely and dark journey. So I went through that and, but everything I've gone through, I say God allowed it to happen because it's a lesson, I literally have gone through all from teenager, so I can speak to the younger ones now and be like, you know what, don't worry, you're not going to die in high school, you're going to be fine. And then you get into, the stage where it's like, okay, how do I create a career? And I'm like, I have. It's hard some days, but I have, you just have to be smart and try to maneuver, and know exactly what you want to do. And then relationship-wise, also, you then start to realize that relationships are not as black and white as you thought they were. But God is good. I then met someone who is very supportive and kind of started to teach me what it's like to be accepted and seen and loved. And I'm grateful for that. Very shocking at first, like, oh my gosh. But so I guess that's where I am now, and the testimony of, it doesn't rain forever. Yes, I would say that. Yeah,
summer does come around.
Summer does when you least expect it as well. But sometimes you're gonna have to put a raincoat, get an umbrella. It is gonna be hard. I really, really felt like, okay, so I'm napping, but now I'm like starting to get my spot back. I'm like, okay.
Right, I'm so happy. Yeah. Oh, so tell me 5 life lessons from all this.
From all of
all this. What are the 5 biggest life lessons that you would say? You know what, Nyenge, with all I've gone through, with everything, the relationship in and out and where I am, the operations, the going back in the streets, the everything.
Yeah,
these are the 5 biggest lessons that I've learned that I would want to impart to our community, to your community?
Turn your pain into power is one. Use your voice. It's very important. Use your voice. In Shona, there's a saying, Hanzimana, right? So we complain about all these things, but we don't say anything about them. Not easy, but use your voice. Third one is, no one is coming to save you. You might have to save yourself. Fourth one, keep breathing, even when it's hard. There are definitely times where I thought like, oh my gosh, God, please just end it, But keep breathing. Tomorrow may not be as bad as it looked yesterday. And the fifth one would be kind. I think to everyone else, be kind. I definitely have people who, have been with me throughout the seasons, and people who have been like, no, this season is too much. And
for us, we're good.
We're gone. But be kind. It can always be you. Some of us didn't think with high school sweethearts would be divorcees, but here we are. So be kind. Could always be you. And yeah, just stay strong. This is life. This is real life. It's not a rehearsal. But I think we manage and we sail through. Yeah,
absolutely. So to close us off, I'm gonna just have some fun questions.
Yeah.
You know, and as I know I could have gone on if we could. I still have so many questions that I want to ask, and I know our viewers are going to ask, but you know, we will see. We'll probably do another part 2 or do something, because I know that there are going to be a lot of questions out of this, because it's something that I think, as mother, I'm a mother of 3 girls. So, and we've gone through bad period pains. Somewhere we thought like, oh yeah, this could be endo, only because I've read and thought, okay, let's go and do this. But it's not easy, and I think it's a topic that we now need to talk about freely, even in our houses. You know, as parents, as girlfriends, even as adults, as girlfriends, you know, to discuss this, because people have gone through it.
How is in your period?
I think it has to be normal conversation. So tell me, what's your favorite color and why? I know we discussed this before we started the show, but
so primary color is pink, because I'm a girl's girl. I'm a girl like that. And then yellow, because it's the endo awareness color. I think it's just bright. Like, imagine it's gruesome. The endo color could have been red, but they chose yellow, which just, I think, radiates hope.
Hope, yeah.
You know, so yellow and pink.
Oh, nice. And your favorite animal and why?
Ooh, animal. I have a strange obsession with monkeys these days.
Really?
Yeah. I said, I think my partner will be like, what? Okay, I really, really think they're fascinating.
Really?
I would like a pet monkey, actually. Just a small one, where it is tamed. And but I do love dogs. Maltese, sucker for Maltese puppy. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What's the one movie you've watched that when you think about it, it's like, oh, my all-time favorite movie?
I have so many. Most of Tyler Perry movies, but a movie that really was like, oh my gosh, was It Ends With Us. Did you watch it?
Yes.
That's a deep movie, but I was like, when it ended, I was like, oh.
My daughter made me watch it, my youngest daughter.
And?
It was
deep.
Yeah. A lot of emotions.
Yeah. Very real. Yeah. Very real. And it's a very powerful message there. Yeah.
I'm one of those people where I'm very much, I get very involved and very much involved in what's going on. So I don't even watch horror movies.
Yeah.
I told my girl, I'll not watch a horror movie, because when I go to bed,
I won't be able to sleep.
I'll be seeing it. I won't sleep, because that's how my mind works anyway. Yeah. And in terms of songs, what's your favorite song, all-time song, that when we just put it here, you'll be like, wow, you know?
Okay, so my dad is a DJ. I grew up in a lot of old school music. So it won't be a new song. I like Tania Still.
Oh, yes, that's beautiful.
Yes.
Oh, I love that song. That's a really nice song. I remember that. What is the one thing that if you were to say today is your last day on earth and you're about to transcend, what is the one thing that you'd say, you know what, I'm ready to go because I've done what?
Oh, there's an endo group. And I've achieved a lot of things. But the fact that every day, there are women who are like Tine. I had a very near-death experience in January. We're endo, we were just not friends. And I remember like
January,
like a few weeks ago, it was something else. We'll talk about it in part 2. But I was on morphine and all this crazy stuff. And I remember I prayed to God and I'm like, you're not God. I think I've given these women a good 10 years. But still, like, if I die, what are they going to do, you know? And then I made a joke with them because we had a support group meeting. And they were like, hey, I'm not to see a tiri nerera, but it's like, sometimes when I feel like, oh my gosh, this is just too much, you know, because I have other things I do and things I'm pursuing. I just remember that, you know, God allowed me to go through this because if I can do it, they're like, okay, we can do it as well. So for me, I've accomplished a lot of things, but that making these women feel less alone, giving them hope, being able to help some of them in really, really dire situations is really my biggest accomplishment.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Tine, we've packed our bags. Yes. We have our passports.
Yes.
Where are we flying off to?
Zanzibar.
Yes. Zanzibar is gorgeous. I was there in January. It's amazing.
So jealous. It's
beautiful. Yeah, no, it's beautiful.
Tine,
it's been amazing.
Thank you.
I can't believe our first time has gone.
I know.
And just to close off the show, going into the week, what is the one word that you want to give our viewers?
One word.
Or one sentence.
One sentence. This is a tough one. Keep breathing. Keep breathing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as we close off, you heard what Tine said.
Keep breathing.
Keep breathing. No matter how hard things get during this week, keep breathing. No matter what someone says to you that makes you like want to scream, keep breathing. So keep breathing, and I'll see you next week. Have a fantastic week.